Friday morning?
Good.
I'm doing good. How are you doing, Mia?
Oh, I'm doing all right.
That's good. That's
So
good.
today, our fearless leader is laying on the beach somewhere enjoying his time off.
You know,
I suppose that's well deserved.
absolutely.
But with me today, we got
But
good
I am
old
jealous though.
head Sanford. We have a special guest, Theotis, with us today.
Yeah.
Of course, we got the angry black man who I love, my spirit twin, Super Dave, and myself, Miss Woke here. And today we're going to be talking about everything that's going on in the news with Bill Cosby and Judge Kavanaugh and the whole Me Too movement and things of that nature. So,
Okay. All right. Hey, Mia.
how y'all doing?
I'm
How
doing
you doing,
good.
guys?
I'm doing real good. How's it up there in Tennessee?
Oh, it's much better today. It's been raining all week here. It's rained for 7 days straight.
It's kind of muggy down here, kind of chilly or whatnot. You know what I'm saying? I think I got a taste for a bowl of chili today because, it's so kind of cold down here for our southern people. But you know what? Before we get started, I want to give some shouts out, if that's okay.
Please do.
Okay, all right. First and foremost, this is attorney Theotis Thompson. I am an attorney here in Little Rock, Arkansas, and I have my own practice. I have a general practice. I'm located at 415 North McKinley. That's in the Plaza West building here in Little Rock, Arkansas. Whether it's a criminal defense, personal injury, bankruptcy, or family law matter, please give me a call and we can discuss your matter. And it's a free consultation. My number is 501-503-5095. Also, too, most of you have been following me on Facebook or seeing my post on Facebook about a gym that I attend to called Straight Right Fitness, and I just love this gym to death because it's an opportunity for me to work out some stress. So they're moving, and so they're at their new location, and they're going to be opening up the doors on October 1. So please come on out and support this gym that I promise you would enjoy and have the weights come off and also lose weight as well. And also, last but definitely not least, I would like to wish my mother, Mary Sanders, happy birthday today. Today is her birthday. The mother who's brought me into the world and has been a definite positive inspiration to me. So love you, Mom, to death. We got something coming for you real soon. Love you, Mom. All right, we got my man on the wheel.
Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you.
Yes. She deserves that and many more. And it's coming to you, Mom. Love you.
Love you, Mama. Okay, so let's get to it. All right, so the Bill Cosby verdict. I went live on my page earlier this week. Not the verdict, I'm sorry, the sentencing. And I said some things, and some folks agreed with me, and some didn't. Just to, if you guys didn't see it, basically I was saying that I'm frustrated with the hypocrisy of the people on both sides. You have folks who believe that Judge Kavanaugh did it and he shouldn't be in the Supreme Court. He shouldn't be confirmed. And at the same time, they don't believe that Bill Cosby did anything wrong. So they are on team Bill Cosby, but against Kavanaugh. And then on the flip side of that, you have folks who are completely elated that Cosby went to prison and believe that Judge Kavanaugh should be confirmed. So let's get to it. What you think, Theotis?
Well, my whole take on this is that I look at it from just pretty much the disposition of the outcomes. Here we have a man, Bill Cosby, who was a father figure to many, including myself, raised in a single family household. But I love my dad, Theotis Thompson Sr. is here, and we have a great relationship. But my mom was the pretty much sole provider. So you were looking for that black male role model to look up to, and what better role model than Bill Cosby? Here's a doctor, wife is a lawyer, has multiple children, all of them living the life that many of us in the ghetto, Highland Court, what's up? How you do? Stand up. Most of us want it, and so here we have a person who's being shackled and taken into prison. I think from my point is that you're looking at the disposition, the final outcome of both of the actual allegations. Here we have a person, Kavanaugh. At the end of the day, the worst that's going to happen to him is that he may not be appointed as a Supreme Court justice, which we know that's not the case. He's going to be appointed. But on the other spectrum, an African American male who was accused of doing something, sexual assault, molesting this person, Constance, he's going to prison. And I think that wakes up a lot of people that, two people that can be charged with similar crimes, but at the end of the day, one gets to go home while the other one has to spend 3 to 10 years of his life in prison for something that, from all points taken, could be described as consensual. So I think that's the problem we have. We have different sets of dispositions or different sets of rules when it comes to, again, African American males versus our white male counterpart.
So, from a female perspective, let me say this. If Bill Cosby did what he is accused of doing, he should have gone to prison. Okay. To me, I mean, if he's guilty of that, he should go to prison. Mm-hmm. I don't care if it's 5 years after or 35 years after or 45 years after. If you sexually assault anybody, a woman, a child, another man, you need to go to prison. But I think for me, I have to kind of take a step back as a woman and look at my sisters, all of my sisters, and really kind of take stock, during this Me Too time in our country. The reality is most sexual assaults go unreported. Most of them do. Mm-hmm. However, there are times where, and I know I'm about to get into trouble for saying this. I got in so much trouble last week. I probably will get in trouble this week too for my my opinion. But as women, we have to take ownership of some of our actions. So if I go up in a hotel with a guy and we're drinking, we are in a room together, I know what time it is. So I don't need to be putting myself in that type of position without believing that something is going to happen. I just don't. I have to be responsible and say, okay, you know what? I don't need to be in this situation because this is not somebody who I want to be with in an intimate way. So I'm not going to put myself in an intimate type of environment. Not for nothing, along those same lines, I can't use my sexual prowess to get ahead and then turn back around and say that I was assaulted or I was put in a bad position or I didn't have any choice. You have choices at times. All the time you don't, but sometimes you do. If I want this certain job and I feel like if I flirt with the boss or I go on and do the deed with the boss and I'm going to get the job, I can't come back and say I was assaulted or I was harassed. Right. I made the decision for myself that I was willing to use that type of leverage to get what I want. Now, having said that, if a man comes to me and says the only way you're going to get this promotion is if you have sex with me, then that's harassment.
That's harassment.
But yes. That's harassment. If I am put in a position where, I'm in an open environment, what I should consider a safe environment, and some president come and decide he gonna grab me by the hoo-ha, that's assault. That's not okay. I don't care what I'm wearing. You don't have a right to touch me. Period. You don't have a right to touch me unless I say to you, you do have a right. But I feel like we're on a slippery slope here where you're dealing with a lot of folks who, in hindsight, may decide, you know what, I think I felt a certain type of way about it and I'm going to come for you. And that's not okay. And it takes validity away from women who truly have been assaulted. Because there are women who have been assaulted, and it has been 10, 20, 30, 40 years ago. And they may have told somebody. They may have told their family member. But the reality is a lot of times it happens within a family. And so you don't feel the same ability to tell somebody as you would if it was a stranger. Most of the times it happens with somebody you know. Right. And so it makes it a lot more difficult to tell your truth than it is if it's a stranger. When it's a stranger, you don't mind telling. If it's a family member, family friend, it's much harder to talk about. I'm sorry, I kind of went off on a rant. Y'all go ahead.
No, I think you touched on the point. I'm sorry. Super Dave, what's up? Oh, we have a call?
Okay. Welcome to the Devil's Advocate. Who's calling? Hello?
Hello?
Caller, you there?
Hello?
Don't worry. Don't worry about it. We'll talk.
All right.
Keep going. Go ahead.
Oh, okay. Well, Mel, you bring up an interesting point that, you mentioned that you kind of caused a storm of comments on your comment regarding women sort of in this particular situation putting themselves in a position where they would invite such behavior, and then at the end of the day, or years, if you will, say, oh, this happened to me and I didn't know anything about, I didn't know what was going on.
Yes, Lisa.
Excuse me?
No, go ahead. I'm sorry.
No. So I guess in this day and age, I mean, how would you feel about those comments being made now, where it's like they're saying, hey, you're not inviting this. No woman can invite a sexual assault on. It's the man actually doing something or an action that was not invited on, and a woman had no play in that person's criminal action.
Let's see if we can get this call again. Caller, you're on the air. Hello.
Hello. Did I scare him off?
Caller, are you there?
I scared them off.
Okay. Don't worry about it.
Okay. All right. Me.
Okay. So yeah. So here's the rub with women that we gotta take ownership from. In the one hand, we say that we're strong, we're independent, we're powerful, we have power over our own agency. We can do anything a guy can do. We're this, we're that. And I do believe we are. Mm-hmm. But then you can't flip that around and say, I have no agency over this matter.
Right.
Both of those can't live in the same house. Mm-hmm. And so if you have made a decision to go into a space, a hotel room, a back room of a club, a backstage at a concert, if you are doing those things, and I have to believe that my women, other women, are intelligent enough to realize when you're going somewhere that can put you in a bad position and not go there. That's ridiculous. If you're jogging at night by yourself, I'm not saying that you're welcoming a rape, but you need to have some sort of protection, some sort of mechanism, something to try to protect yourself as much as you can.
So you're saying that you can't be in a position where you're inviting such action from a male counterpart, then at the end of the day saying, why did you do that?
Right.
Just because I sat in your lap, just because I was giving you the eye, just because I was flirting with you, that didn't actually mean that I want to do something with you. I mean, I guess when we boil it down to just the simple meaning of it is that, I guess men, for myself, we're visual, and when we get a hint of something and you don't explicitly say, no, don't do that, but you show all the signs that you want me to come and approach you, then I do what I think you want, and you don't explicitly say no, but now it comes back 20 some odd years later that I actually touched you in a way that you felt that was inappropriate. Well, hell, you sitting up there, you looking at me, you on my lap, you giving me all these different looks, you're talking to me, and I'm like, okay, it may be the time that I need to approach you because you give me all the signs and you never come out and you say no.
So listen, there is a such thing, and you're an attorney, so I'm sure you're familiar with this phrase.
Hey, Mill, before you answer, let's try to go back to the phones again. Caller, you're on the air.
Yes, man. How you doing? How are you guys doing?
Doing good.
It's the favorite downrated. This is Django.
What up, Django?
Okay, we got
you guys for holding it down for me. I'm out here on a beach in the Cayman Islands.
We didn't really want to hear all that.
I really appreciate
No.
you, bro, for holding it down. This is a great topic to talk about in light of what has been an uncurrent problem, it seems, and a issue when we talk about socialization between the sexes. Of course, Mia, thank you for holding it down. Is Claire Servant out there, by the way?
What?
Is he there?
Yeah.
Who?
Who?
Oh, okay. Did you grow any hair this week?
Nah. They're the same.
Well, anyway, so I just didn't want to come out. You guys are having a great topic. I want to thank y'all for holding it down for me. As soon as I get out here, I just wanted to share one thing with you guys. You know, back 25 years ago, I was touched inappropriately by a goat. And I'm sorry, I just wanted to share that with y'all because, you know, I've been really having to deal with it. But
You so
in
serious.
all seriousness, you know, guys, thank you guys for holding it down for me. I'll see you guys next week and appreciate you.
Absolutely, no problem, bro. Hoping you having a great time because, you know, we're trying to have a great time here in Little Rock, Arkansas. But, you know, nothing compares to the Cayman Islands. So you go and enjoy yourself, man.
All right, then, you guys. I'll see you. I'll bring y'all something back. Maybe go see. But y'all have a great one now.
Bring me back something. I don't care if it's
Hey,
a keychain
Django,
or something.
you were asking. I am
Bring it
live,
right back
so
up.
if you want to watch it that way, you can.
Yeah, I will do. All right, thanks,
All right,
guys.
baby. Okay, so what I was saying before Django had to pop his little head in here is that there is a such thing as implied consent.
Right.
And what implied consent is to me, for example, if me and my boyfriend normally, if he doesn't normally ask me, and usually if he tries to get some and I do it, or my husband, there is an implied consent in there. And so unless I verbally say, no, I don't want you to do this, then in his mind, he can touch me because I haven't expressly said to him, no, it's not going down today. If I'm a stripper at a club, I'm in a position of implied consent in terms of touching, unless there's a posted sign up that says, don't touch the strippers. So if a stripper is touching you as a man, then you are saying that you're giving implied consent because you're in that space. Now, having said
Well,
all of that,
actually, they give in dollars, but that's another story.
making it rain.
Right.
So if you are in certain scenarios, there is a place where you believe, okay, we have some sort of implied consent. Now, if you're at a club with your girls and a guy is there and y'all dancing and you've decided you're going to rub up on him just like he rubbed up on you, you can't come back 20 years later and say he rubbed up on me if you were feeling on his muscles and stuff like that. That's not okay. It can't just be one way. Right. And I'm going to call out some women because women can be the worst about touching men because we feel like you can handle it. So we should be able to do anything that we want to you without you doing anything to us. And I have seen with my own eyes women touch a man where I had to step in and say, hey, don't touch that one. Maybe because it was my boyfriend or because it was my brother or whatever. But anyway, women can cross the line too. And we act like that can't happen.
And I think that it happens more frequent than not. I mean, what is your position about the actual stigma of women being flirtatious and going after what they want, and then at the end of the day, they're saying, "Well, I'm not this way. I'm not flirtatious. I'm not doing this. This is who I am." But you've invited that. You've invited that interaction with the male, and then he approaches you, and you kind of want the same thing for him, but you don't want to be seen as we label this, and this is an incorrect label of being a hoe or just whatever, a woman of the night. How do you actually respond to that?
So here's the sad part and the rough part on a guy, and I'm gonna say this on behalf of men and let you know from a woman's perspective. Sexual harassment is in the eye of the beholder. Okay, so if Boris Kojo comes up to me and he's sweet talking me and flirting with me and speaking German and French and all of these languages, and he's standing there so pretty with that bald head. Whoo, I love me some Boris Kojo. If he happened to talk to me or rub my shoulder or rub my back, I probably ain't mad about that.
Right.
But if Kofi, what's his name? Bill Duke, I'll call him out because he just is not cute to me. So if Bill Duke did it to me, I would be like, ew, don't touch me. I don't like you like that. Stop it. Well, if they were together, it's a good chance that you don't know how to read that. So to me, a good rule of thumb, I would think, because I don't want us to be in an environment where flirtatious behavior, and flirting does not have to include touching somebody.
Right.
If you flirting, you can look at them, talk to them, shoot them your best shot, whatever. You can do all of that without ever touching somebody.
Right.
And when you do that, you have to be able to read the signs from a female to say, hey, I'm not interested. Now, I've been in a situation where somebody was trying to talk to me, and I said repeatedly, I'm not interested, got a boyfriend, I don't like you, I'm not, this ain't what you're hunting, whatever, and they will not go away. And I know that there are tons of women that say the exact same thing. It's like, even when you say, no, I'm not interested, bro, move on. They keep on coming. They keep on trying to talk to you. And so at that point, it's not harassment or assault, but it is nerve wracking. And you like, boy, go on with yourself. Go away. Go. And it is, as a woman, you are in a position of like, okay, I hope this dude ain't waiting outside the door of the club because I don't know what's going to happen, because assault is real. It does happen. Harassment and assault does happen, even in your best efforts for telling somebody, go away, I'm not interested.
And I think that definitely is in that scenario where you actually explicitly say, stop it, don't do this. There's no getting around that. That's just black and white. That's a sexual assault, also a rape. If that person actually does not consent and actually is conscious when they say, hey, look, don't touch me. But I guess the deal that you mentioned, Mia, as far as the flirtation, I guess the pre actions before the actual criminal action, where do we go from there? I mean, how can we prevent that from even happening? What can we tell our fellas and our females, our ladies, to say, okay, what's going on? Is this sort of like a rule of thumb? Is there a common sense approach to this? If you're flirting and you know it, and then you want to cry wolf, is it shame on you? Is it more or less in this situation where we have two powerful men that were on their climb, had bukus of dollars, and they decide, you know what, I'm just going to flirt with them, try to do what I can do? Or is it a situation where, hey, bump the money, you did what you did and it's wrong, and no matter how much I flirted with you, you shouldn't have done it? How do you approach it?
So in those two cases, in the cases of Cosby and Kavanaugh, with Cosby, from what I've read and what I've understood of what they say happened, he drugging women to get it. Like, you can't drug me and I'm able to give consent. Now,
right, that's why
if we decide we're going to smoke some weed together, and then I say, well, I can't give consent, really, he could say the same thing. I didn't give consent either. Right. Both of us were impaired. Mm-hmm. If in the case of Kavanaugh, she's saying that this boy held her down and was like rubbing up on her. That's flat out assault in my mind. In my mind, both of those are cut and dry assault. But your question in terms of how do you flirt and where do you draw the line, and this is just my opinion, I don't speak for every woman, but I'll tell you, to me, if we are in an environment and you're talking to me and I'm flirting with you and you know that I'm flirting with you, and you say, hey, you want to go somewhere, do A, B, and C, I think you need to state that. I think you need to state, hey, I want to, what's up? Use your words. Hey, where your head at? What you want to do? And that way I can give some level of consent. Hey, I'm down. Because listen, it's a lot of women who will go with you on the first date and they cool with that. And I'm not judging. This is a judge-free zone with me.
Right.
They'll do that. but it's important for you to say what it is you want in that time, to me. And give me the opportunity to say, hey, I'm not that girl, but you real cool to kick it with. I'd like to go out again. Just have a conversation instead of this assumption that because I was flirting with you, that means you're going to get some tonight. That's not what that means. That just means I enjoyed your company for that time. And perhaps I want to talk to you again. And if you want something more than that, use your words. Right. Say what it is you want.
Okay. All right. Well, great discussion about Mr. Cosby. I guess what everyone wants to know is that, was it fair? Mia, you mentioned that he should have been locked up a long time ago, but, I'm still looking at the father figure that I had from watching Bill Cosby. I still got some of those episodes in my head. Boy, I brought you in this world, I would take you out. And a few other episodes that I can't name off right now, but it's hard to imagine that he is going to prison for the next 3 to 10 years. May get out sooner, we don't know. And all for an allegation that happened in 2004. And people have given their own opinions about just going by the appearance of the actual alleged victim or the victim in this matter, and you got millions of dollars, why her? But that at the end of the day, he's going to prison. So how does it? I guess when you look from the outside in, you look at a man who has established himself as a positive influence on a lot of people in our society. One who has contributed to the development of men and women, who has also been a great philanthropist, and also one who has developed the model for us to follow for entrepreneurs and people that want to do positive things in our society today. Given all of that, what is your reflection of Bill Cosby today? What do you think of him now?
I'll give an opinion on it. I think he was just a great person with a dark side, like a lot of people. He's just he's one of those preachers, or like a priest, a pastor or a priest who was.
You mean like a Catholic priest?
Catholic priest,
like a Catholic priest who hadn't been prosecuted, who hadn't been brought to crime, whose organization actually conspired to hide their dirty deeds and actually sent those men all across the world to continue to assault children. Oh, I'm sorry. I accidentally hit my button. My thoughts was coming out of my head.
Come on, Super Dave.
I think he just had a double life. He just had a double life. That was all, And it's hard when you see Cliff Huxtable go to jail. We think, in our minds, we thinking this is Cliff Huxtable, not Bill Cosby.
Right.
So
right.
That's what
and I think that's where the disconnect is. I think that you have to separate the two. You have Bill Cosby, the man, and then you have Heathcliff Huxtable, the character.
Yep.
And do I believe that he did some good things in his lifetime? Yes, I do. But I don't think he had a dark side. I think he is who he is. I think people do what they think they can get away with. And in terms of the Catholic priest, and let's not just stop at the Catholic priest, but it's plenty of examples we can have of folks that we know did something sketchy and nasty, and they're walking around right now without any kind of repercussions about it. And that's not okay with me. But that's my point. That was my initial point. To me, and I'll just say, give truth in all advertising, I am someone who lived through and passed and recovered from a sexual assault when I was a kid, when I was very, very young, at the hands of somebody who I knew and that I trusted. And it was a traumatic event for me. And knowing that I didn't talk about it and that I didn't tell anybody for a very, very, very long time. I mean, many years, well past the statute of limitations. I get how you can't say anything about it. And to me, it seems like a lot of folks believe that if you didn't say anything, it didn't happen, or they can't understand why you wouldn't talk about something happening, even for the victims of those priests. When sexual assault happens to somebody and it's at the hands of somebody that they know or they respect or they believe that their family knows, loves, and respects, That's not easy to do. It's not very, you're thinking in your mind that you're going to blow up your entire family. You have to live with those type of consequences. And it's so horrible for a child or a woman or even a young man, young woman, whomever who have been assaulted to deal with that, because you just don't know what to do with it.
Right.
You don't know what to do with it. You really want to say something. You really want to talk about it, but you're afraid to because you don't know how that's going to impact your entire family.
Right.
And so I think that for those folks who believe that they waited a long time so their story doesn't have any validity, I think that that's a wrong approach because you don't know what motivates people to be quiet.
Right.
And in terms of Bill Cosby and what his deeds were, I've seen a whole lot of people who on the outside, they project somebody that you can trust, somebody that's a good person, somebody that everybody should love, somebody that everybody should respect, and they live a parallel life, and they are a predator behind closed doors. You can look at the priest, you can look at Bill Cosby, you can look at the person who did that to me. I've seen it over and over and over and over and over again. The boogeyman don't look scary. The boogeyman looks like you. The boogeyman looks like your preacher. The boogeyman looks like your favorite TV star. That's who the boogeyman is. If he was a scary looking something, if he had horns, you would know to stay away from that sucker. But he doesn't. He looks like somebody that you can trust.
Well, I think the only thing I would say, and you're right, in that scenario involving you personally, where you are a child, that definitely is a situation where you have a person who has taken advantage of a minor, who has used their influence and their age and their makeup or their structure in the family to actually do things that were egregious and violate your rights. But in Bill Cosby's situation, here's my theory with Bill Cosby. With this woman that alleged to have been molested back in 2004, there's history between that two. We're talking about an adult woman who probably had conversations and actions with Bill Cosby before. So this wasn't something that just happened in 2004 when she was an adult. She knew what was going on between Bill Cosby and herself. She knew. That's my take. And maybe Bill Cosby promised her some things and she kind of they didn't come to fruition. And so my deal is that, again, we're talking about putting yourself in a position where you know what's coming expected of the other person. You entertained, you did what you wanted to do to get that person's attention. You came to that person's house. You knew what was about to go down, but it didn't go down the way you wanted to. So now it didn't happen the way you wanted to. Oh, cry wolf. This is a case where she actually is a person who was hurt not from the actual molestation or the actual actions of Bill Cosby, in my personal view, but from the actual interaction between Bill Cosby and what went south with them. Whether Bill Cosby promised her certain things and they just didn't come to reality. So now I got to get back at you. And so what better way of getting back at you than coming up and labeling or describing what's happened before between you and I and what happened in 2004. That doesn't take away from Bill Cosby being a person who likes to pop pills, as they say today, or what he was doing in the 70s. He was doing that, but you cannot tell me that these women who entertained Bill Cosby, who said, okay, I know what you're doing, but hey, because I'm getting something out of it and I love the way you making me feel right now, I'm going to go and do it, but I'm going to play like I don't know nothing about what's going on. I'm going to go ahead and entertain it. And if it doesn't go my way, guess what? Oh, he touched me the wrong way. I didn't know what was going on. I was clueless. I was naive. Come on, you're an adult. You know what's going on. And I that's the problem I have right there. You're an adult. You know what's happening. But when it doesn't go your way, then you act like a child. Like, how could he do this? How I didn't know. I'm so hurt. I'm ashamed. I'm shocked. Woman, please. You are an adult. You sitting at this man's house. You know what's going on. You probably, I don't know your attire. I don't know what you had on your mind. But I believe at one point you had two consenting individuals. It wasn't implied consent, but you know what's going on. And you now want to play dumb. And that's not right there. you open up the door for a lot of what some people would describe as miscommunication, which you in fact knew what was being communicated to go on, and then you want to cry wolf. That's the problem I have. And the deal is, I'm sorry. Go ahead. No. And that's the problem I have. Men and women that want to play the naive part and say, I didn't know they were flirting with me, or I didn't know that person was coming on. Please, I want to drop a bomb, but I'm not going to do that. Negro, please, you know what's going on, and someone brings it to your attention, which she had family members to bring it to her attention. Hey, look, you know you're going over there. You know what he likes to do. I'm going anyway. You went anyway, and you still gave in. You still opened the door. You still wanted that person. You invited that person in after years of this going on, and now you want to play like, okay, I didn't know what he was doing. Okay, let's go public with it because you ain't concede to what I wanted. That's what that was.
So to me, we've all heard of the casting couch. At least I believe we have. I've heard of that. I know that I've always heard that in Hollywood, for women and men, some men, if you want to get put on, you got to go through all kind of tomfoolery and repugnant stuff in order to get to that next level.
And let me understand.
I don't think that it's.
And let me say this: I don't agree with that at all. I do not. That is not a way for anybody to make it in Hollywood. But you're right, Mia.
It's not. But I've heard of it. I've heard that that's what people have to do. I've heard that that's what. Now, I'm not implying that every person who has made it in Hollywood did it or had to do it. But there are people who act like that's the way to get it done.
Right.
And I don't have to go to Hollywood. I know people. I'm sure you know people that you've worked with, that you've encountered, that used whatever proudness they had in order to get ahead. They just did,
right.
And so in those cases, to me, you can't double back 30 years later and say, okay, this happened to me and it wasn't okay. If you agreed to it, if you agreed to it 20, 30 years ago, because one of his accusers said, at the time, I didn't think anything was wrong with it, but now looking back, I feel like it was.
You were an adult when that happened.
You can't decide to take back consent because now it's the cool thing to do.
Right.
If you said it was okay then, it's okay now.
Right.
You made a choice. It may not be a choice that you are happy with today or that you're proud of today, but it was a choice that you made at that point.
Because
and so I don't think that that's okay. I don't think that that's okay. And I think that for most men, or at least for most men that I know, you have to feel like, okay, let me run back that beautiful being footage 20, 30 years ago and make sure I didn't do anything that now somebody would come back and say, I did them wrong. Because most men are good people.
Right.
Most men are not aggressive sociopaths. Most men are not going to drug you to take advantage of you. Most men are not going to assault you.
Right.
Most. But the ones that are will, and they won't stop.
Right.
And from what we've understood, or what I understand about the priest, about Bill Cosby, is that that's a behavior that never stopped. They continue to do that. These priests continue to do that. They continue to get moved. And as Super Dave said, the church the Catholic Church helped to hide it and put them in places and do all of these things. That's a horrible situation, but you don't hear enough about that, and that's a problem. Now, before I keep on going, I don't want the sponsors to be mad. I think we need to take a quick break,
okay,
and then come back with this conversation. All right, everybody good with that?
We're good. We're coming right back, fellas and ladies.
Weddings, birthday parties, family reunions, or even a romantic dinner for two. Black Swan Catering can handle it all. Try our mouth-watering brisket, savory smoked chicken, scrumptious meals and appetizers, or tantalizing sweet treats. We'll customize any menu to suit your needs and guarantee a flavorful and festive event for you and your guests. Check us out at blackswancaterers.com or give us a call at 501-240.
Having issues with child support, traffic tickets, criminal matters, family, wills, estates, and probate matters? Call Jimmy C. Morris of the Morris Law Firm here in Little Rock, Arkansas, an aggressive powerhouse attorney that will fight for you. Call him 7 days a week from Monday through Thursday from 9 a.m. to 8 p.m. and from Monday through Friday from 9 a.m. to 6 p.m. Weekend appointments are also available. And also, check out Jimmy Morris on The Devil's Advocate once a month for our infamous Ask the Attorney segment as he talks about social, political, and legal issues. Check him out, and his dedicated staff of professionals will fight for justice for you. Again, that's the Jimmy C. Morris Law Firm. His number is 501-319-7647. That's the Jimmy C. Morris Law Firm. His number is 501-319-7647. Call him.
Brought to you by The Joy Network.
All right, we're back. Good people.
So we've been having a really lively discussion about consent and what's safe flirting and if Bill Cosby should be up under the jail and do he need to take all the Catholic priests with him? Super Dave, what's your thoughts on everything that's going on?
Just quickly, I mean, I agree with if Cosby did it, then he deserves to go to jail. But here's what I try to get people when this first broke the other day and what I talked about on my show is that this is a double standard. And we're seeing it play out right before our eyes in this Supreme Court nomination with the President of the United States. Each of them were basically accused of the same thing that Bill Cosby was accused of. Yet neither one of them have stood trial. Okay. More importantly, the Catholic Church has conspired. They have violated the law and conspired and hid priests who were violating children. Yet no one in the Catholic Church has stood trial. What makes it even more dangerous is that many of us in our community are doing simply what we do when one of our young black males gets stopped and he gets killed. The first thing they say is, well, he shouldn't have been there or he shouldn't have been out on curfew, as opposed to not looking at the illegality of them being racially profiled that led to the stop in the first place. So what I'm trying to get people to understand here is that, if Cosby was a pedophile, and Mia, I related the other day that although I was not sexually abused, I was married to someone who was, and it destroyed our marriage. So I am uniquely understanding of what that does to a woman. But at the end of the day, all I want is to see justice served across the board. Think about all of those men who have been accused of sexually assaulting women since this Me Too movement has taken place. How many of them have stood trial?
Nobody.
That's my point.
Nobody but
you
Cosby.
see, nobody but Cosby.
Well, they arrested Harvey Weinstein, so it's pending.
It's pending, okay? But let's see what happens. But let's not just say Harvey. Let's not forget about Matt Lauer. Let's not forget about the head of CVS who just resigned. Les Moonves.
And also Terry Crews.
Right.
He was a victim. Terry Crews said he was a victim.
He was a victim.
But the person that actually did it.
But how about Roman Polanski?
Right, Roman Polanski.
He's on a run, so
right.
they try to get him now.
But my point being, it goes on and on and on, where there's a double standard when it comes to justice. So you saw in this hearing, they were saying, you even had women coming out, oh, well, what 17-year-old boy hasn't done what Kavanaugh did? I raised my hand because I didn't do it.
Right.
Okay.
Right.
And then you look at him as a boy, but then you turn around and juxtapose Trayvon Martin. Oh, he was a man at 15.
Right.
But Kavanaugh is raping and getting girls drunk at 17, but he's just a boy. There's a double standard here, and that's what we ought to be talking about. Yeah, sure, the conviction, great, but let's look at the bigger picture here and see that what we're seeing here is white supremacy and white privilege playing out right before our very eyes. I think it was prophetic and profound that Cosby was sentenced on the week that they were having this Kavanaugh hearing, because it says two things: that here's a black man, no matter how much money you have, you're still a black man. And I don't mean black man. Okay? You see, but here is Kavanaugh, here is Donald Trump. They're white boys. And what you saw with Kavanaugh yesterday, he was screaming and hollering because he was subconsciously channeling that, why are y'all mad at me? The Constitution, I'm a white man. Right. The Constitution was written for me, and you don't have the right to challenge what I do. That's what this is all about.
That's what.
Okay?
You reach a point right there, because that dealt mostly with him exercising his entitlement. Look, I am a Caucasian male. I am entitled to certain things that no other individual, black or woman, or black male, black woman, or white woman can get in this country. This is me.
And check this out. You not only saw him exercise that, you saw Lindsey Graham say the same thing. Okay.
He told him he didn't have to apologize.
You see what I'm saying? All those white men that was up there screaming like babies, that's what they were subconsciously saying. Hey, these white women don't have the right to challenge me. I'm white man. I am king. You don't have the right to say what I say or do. That's what we were playing out in front of us yesterday. And black people need to wake up and see that. Because if you don't think white privilege exists, if that wasn't a show and tell yesterday, then nothing will open your eyes.
And you know what? At the end of the day, he's still going to be appointed.
Exactly.
Right? At the end of the day,
exactly.
It will be confirmed today.
He's not.
As a matter of fact,
he's not going.
Well, it won't be today. They've got to vote next week, but he'll get a recommendation out of the Judicial Committee.
Yeah.
Right.
Most of the Arkansas senators said they voting yes.
Well, again, that's why I have this campaign of it doesn't matter who they are, what they smell like. If they walk, talk, act like a Republican, you ought to vote against them. That's just the bottom line on that. Period. End of story. They have no concept of what the American people want or what this country needs. It is clearly about them and their personal agenda. And if you want to stop this mess, you need to get your butts to the polls. In fact, before October 9th, you need to get registered to vote, and you need to get your butts to the polls. Now, if you can't get registered to vote, I'll bring you a registration card. Just call me, 615-554-0568. If you can't get to the polls on November 6th, call me. I'll come burn my gas, pick your ass up, and take you. But there's no excuse. There's no excuse. We are seeing before our eyes that we have to stop this, and the only way we can stop it is vote against anything Republican. I'm off my soapbox now.
I'm glad you said that, because a lot of people was just like, just vote. Vote for who? Vote for what?
Nikki
I mean,
said,
at least you said vote for the
said,
Republican.
You swear you think you're right.
Sometimes.
At least you said vote against the Republicans. So.
Yeah, well, it is definitely something to take into consideration.
So, okay, guys, I'm the lone female in the room. So I want to know, how do you all feel now in this political climate? Because you know that none of you all, I mean, I've seen all of y'all, so none of y'all look like Donald Trump or Brett Kavanaugh. You look more like Bill Clinton. I mean, I'm sorry, Bill Cosby.
And so, like Bill Clinton.
Because your skin color, I'm saying that, right? So in terms of you dating, you going out on the prowl, you meeting people, for the ones that are single and the ones who have sons. What type of advice do you feel like you're gonna, at this point, need to give them in order to protect them from what could be a treacherous dating situation? And because, let me throw this in. I read something at Little Rock Library. It was a poster that was up, and it said basically that if a woman is drunk, if both a young lady and a boy are drunk, the young lady can't give consent. Right. And my position on that was, if they're both drunk, then nobody can give consent.
Okay, so it's funny you bring that up, because there's an actual case that either it's already been litigated or it's being litigated about that very fact. And it presupposes that the man should have better sense. If both of y'all are, let's say, for instance, we go out and you and I, we knock off a fifth of tequila, Okay, both of us. Well, I may not be drunk because I drink a lot of tequila. No, I'm just kidding. But we're both totally inebriated. All right, we go somewhere and we have sex. Wake up the next morning with the hangover. Look, you say, "Oh, I didn't want to have sex with you," and I say, "Well, I didn't know we were having sex." All right, you call the police and you say, "Hey, he raped me." Right. You know what happens? I go to jail.
Go to jail.
That is an actual case that is going on right now. That's a problem. Okay?
That's a major
what that says is this, and I fought for fathers' rights, so I'm real sensitive about some of these double standards when it comes to men and women when we're talking about the courts. So what you're saying to a woman is you can't control your alcohol. Okay? Right. You have no responsibility. You're really not able to handle situations if you say that. Now, you can't say that in one breath and then on the other side say, well, I'm equal. I deserve to be this, that, and the other. When I used to argue with Diane Black in Tennessee, when I used to argue with those nuts at the state legislature in Tennessee, particularly the women when we were fighting for fathers' rights, the one thing that I would always get them on was this. I said, you're sitting there as a senator or as a state representative. What if I told you that you couldn't be that because you are a woman? As a better still, what if I told women you can't be doctors, you can't be pilots, you can't be in the military, all the things that men have tried to block women from doing for all these years? What if I told you you couldn't do it? Would that be fair? Every one of them says no. And then I would say, well, how can you tell me that I can't be a parent?
Exactly.
They had no answer. So my point being is that here's my thing about this thing with these new allegations. You know, and I'm going to be honest with you. I although I knew I hadn't done anything wrong to women back in the day, I was a nice guy, but I tried to research in my mind. Have I done anything to anybody? You know, and a friend of mine posted on his Facebook page, hey, if I pitched anybody on the butt back in the day when I was in elementary school, I apologize. Okay?
So that's the climate. But that is the climate right
yeah,
now.
but it shouldn't get to that point, right. You know. Now, if some lady was certainly violated, then so be it. I understand that. But right now, I think we're on a slippery slope, as you said earlier, Mia, that we need to be careful here because every little wink, every little nod, you know, every this and that. Man, I'm going to tell you this. I can tell you a lot of times when I was sexually harassed by women where they walk up and grab your junk or say, ooh, you fine. I took at it as, hey, no big deal. But you know what? That was sexual harassment. And a lot of my friends have.
Where did this happen?
I'm talking about back in the day, dude. Now, I know I'm old and a little pot belly now. But, you know, back in the day, I was a real deal Holyfield.
Okay.
You know, and if you ever hung out at the Dip, then you know what I'm talking about. Y'all, that's a little bit too, y'all too young for that, though. So I'm just saying. Hey, no, the Dip is gone, baby. Hey, that's old school. Y'all got a call, by the way.
All right. Caller, how you doing?
I'm doing well. I'm a little offended. Ain't nobody grabbed my junk in a while.
I heard that, man. What's going on?
Man, I'm sitting up here, man, reflecting on some good stuff. I'm in the great city of Little Rock.
Okay, all right.
Push on back to the big city of Dallas, but
that's what's up.
It's been a good trip.
That's good, man. You got a question or comment?
Yeah, I got a comment. I want to know when Nikki G gonna come back and what kind of pants she gonna have on when she get there.
Whoa. What kind of pants is Nikki gonna have on when she comes back here?
Yeah.
Oh man. Oh no, you may have to inbox her that.
I heard she's been wearing that Ivanka Trump line. I'm just trying to see if I can be Donald for like 2-3 days.
Okay. All right. Well, I'm sure she heard that, man. So you know, Nikki, we got a caller that's wondering what kind of pants you gonna have on when you come back. So that might open up the door to what the topic we're talking about today, sexual assault. I mean, you know, we talked about actions the pre-actions that led to the criminal actions. So, bro, I asked that you tread lightly on that. I'm just kidding with you, man. But that's funny. So, all right, man. Well, hey, you enjoy your trip back, man. I hope you make it to your place, okay?
All right, man. I got one thing to say before I go.
All right.
Okay.
Mama, I love you. P.O.P., baby.
All right, bro.
Okay.
Crazy to death. All right. All right.
Yes.
So, okay, what have we learned today?
Be careful.
Super Dave, Theodis, tell us what you learned today.
What I learned today was, be careful who you invite into your life, because the deal is that people that send mixed signals can come back to bite you years to come. So when you are with a certain person, be careful. Read the signs. Don't act like you're naive. We're adults here. We know what's going on. If someone's communicating to you, your actions could be considered flirtatious or actually inviting the wrong type of people. Be cognizant of that. And also, even if that is an action that is part of their lifestyle, that's what they do, that still, in essence, doesn't invite unwelcome actions by the other person. So be truthful to yourself. If you like that type of behavior, if you like it, don't cry wolf later. You know what you want. And two, for fellas, that doesn't invite you to actually do any criminal action because you believe that a woman wants something from you. So please use common sense when actually approaching other individuals. So that's what I learned today.
All right. Head Sanford, what you learned today, baby?
Just men should just be cautious. If you can document, record everything, try to. If you get in that situation,
I can see that now. Let me go and get out my phone, record this. Hey, baby, how you doing? What's your name?
Yeah, because just in case they come back and say, well, you did X, Y, Z. You got all the proof that you didn't do it. So, yeah.
All right, Super Dave, what you learned today, babe?
That the world is going to hell in a handbasket.
Real fast in a hurry.
Oh, well, you know what?
Hold on,
this
Mia,
is what I learned today.
Okay,
I've been on the phone and on the radio program with 4 good men who seem to understand consent. All men are not aggressors. All men are not bad. All women are not innocent. That's what I learned today. And I want to thank Django for letting me keep his spot warm.
Thank you, Django.
He'll be back with you guys next week at the head. And, of course, I'll be here as well. It's been so much fun. Thank you, Theodis.
You're welcome. Thank you, everyone, for listening to
Head
me.
Sanford. Thank you, Super Dave. And this is Miss Woke. And if you can't stand the heat, probably need to stay your behind out of the kitchen. All right, till next week. Y'all have a good weekend.
Peace.
Enjoy.